Well, we may as well just jump straight into it. Heavensgate's obviously had quite a busy year. Went on a national headline tour celebrating Rat King, and then you snagged a support slot on the Amity Afflictions tour, and you're about to head off again with Bloom and then North America. It's pretty full schedule.
Yeah, it's been a very busy year. We've hit the ground running. I think things happened very quickly, and we're very appreciative of, I guess, the opportunities that have been put forward in front of us. It's just, with being a new band, it's been very eye-opening, and we just had to get in the deep end and just sort of learn how the shit is going. This is what we want to be doing. This is our dream, and we're just putting everything we have into just going full steam ahead. I think it's because of the fact that people can sort of see our drive and our dedication that they're willing to take the risk on us, and I think it's worked out well so far. So
it's obviously you guys are reaping the rewards from that. They are pretty huge opportunities. Seeing as you are so early into everything, do you feel like you've had enough time to adjust to having such a full-on schedule? Are you managing outside of band life to keep everything together and happening and staying on top of it?
As well as I can, I think. It has been extremely stressful, especially with how quickly things have moved. Having the ability over the COVID lockdowns to sort of write and take our time with the first EP. Shit hit the fan really quickly when everything opened up, because it was okay, you need to do tour preps, and then you need to also be writing new music, but then you also need to be recording the previous music while you're writing the new music, and it's just trying to prep for all of these things that are just coming from every angle. It has been stressful, but I feel we sort of thrive well in the chaos. We sort of need the chaos to be happening to work well.
Yeah, need non-stop on the outside to keep the non-stop going on the inside.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And the Amity tour obviously was massive, you got to play some sick places. When did you find out that you got that support slot? What was that kind of experience like, and how was the whole tour?
Yeah, well, the tour itself was incredible. It was a very surreal moment, especially myself listening to Amity Affliction since I was in high school. So I was always a massive fan of Amity Affliction. I tried not to be too much of a sweater on the tour because I didn't want to be that dude, but I had to hit him with it a little bit so that they knew that I was appreciative of being there. Our label manager got a text from, I believe it was Amity's manager, saying, "What's Heavensgate currently doing?" Our label manager was they're doing good, steady streams. I think they just need a big tour opportunity and then they'll pop off. And then he was "Do they want one?" It turns out that Joel, the vocalist, actually listens to us, or at least that's what I was told. He liked our music, and I think they knew that tour was going to sell out regardless, because it was such a stacked lineup and so many cool bands on it, that they were you know what, fuck it, we'll just give someone an opportunity to take part in this. And I guess they liked us and thought we were deserving.
I'm sure it's pretty much everyone in the Australian heavy scene or heavy listeners kind of had the same experience listening to them for more time than they'd probably like to admit. But I imagine it's going to be just crazy to hear that someone that you've been a fan of for so long has been listening to you specifically.
Yeah, it's well, actually, it made the imposter syndrome that I already had 10 times worse, especially playing in venues that size. So going to venues that I would go to see bands that I looked up to, and just standing on the stage and just having to keep my shit together and act like I'm that guy. But I didn't feel like that guy. I was I still feel just a nervous wreck. But I guess as soon as the music starts, you just have to put a mask over and just be okay, I'm stepping into this. You would be aware because you're a front woman yourself, so it's
something deep. John Payne Arena, River Stage, Red Hill is one that I've gone to a few times, being from Perth. I feel I wouldn't know what to do with all of that space. Did you ramp up tour prep?
So yeah, rehearsals and tour prep, we sort of flipped everything on its head, and we're okay, so we've never had to control a crowd like this before. We've never had to worry about how things will sort of, if things will go like cohesively as we've been doing them in smaller shows. So we had to sort of like think about everything from the ground up. We'd also never used in-ear monitors before throughout our career, but then we realized that we probably for this would need them so that we could actually hear what we were doing, so that I'm not just like screaming into a foldback. Think about how things would translate to a larger crowd. Obviously, there being so much distance between you and the crowd, and obviously having so many people that have never heard about you before, it's a lot harder to sort of win them over. But I feel like also people were so excited that it was always going to work in our favor. I think people were just excited to be there. It was such a monumental tour. Yeah, people were very nice, and it seemed like we just stepped into the role really well, which we were worried about. I think it just comes naturally. And I also don't think that any amount of prep that we could have done would have actually prepared us for the moment. So I remember River Stage when we were just about to walk out, and it was like the first show of the tour. The largest room I'd ever played to was, I think, 550 people. And then we were there in front of 9,000 people. It was like nothing can prepare you for that that feeling with all those people staring at you. And it was just weird. It was just like I was shitting myself, and then as soon as I just stepped on and just grabbed the mic, it was just like, you're just there, you can't escape it, so you just have to tackle it head on. And it worked out well. People loved us, and we loved the shows, so yeah, it was great.
I saw some incredible feedback. Do you feel like, the first one obviously is a sort of find your feet, don't fall off the edge kind of moment. Do you feel like by the end of it, closing up in Perth, that you sort of adjusted, or is it even possible to adjust to that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think it becomes less daunting. It was still terrifying each time. I think obviously because it was sort of like a blank canvas, and all of these people that would essentially by the end of the 20-minute set decide whether you were shit or whether you were good. So it was always terrifying. But it did, by the end of it, it was almost like it became fun, and I think we sort of got used to the thrill and excitement of the shows. So yeah, by the end of it, it was very like, at the start of the tour, I was like, I want this to be over already, but then by the end of it, I was just like, oh my god, I can't believe this is the end.
Well, I mean, obviously, again, huge opportunity, and so early, like your debut single Chemical Heaven, that's only 2 years old. You guys are a very young band, and I know that you were fortunate enough to have backing from Greyscale pretty early on, and because studio member Josh Ang obviously had that previous working relationship through Pinter. Is there anything different compared to previous projects, having label backing so early on, that you probably didn't anticipate being different?
I think there's good and there's some bad as well. I think the bad could just be coming straight out of the gate with the Greyscale backing. It may have put in some people's minds that it was sort of like, I don't know, like an unfair advantage. I think people may potentially think that we sort of like had the Greyscale backing and then did everything through that. But in reality, it was actually that we'd written everything, done music videos, like had a whole release plan as well as future release plans laid out, and then sort of went to them, hey, look, we can handle it ourselves, but like we would really like to be part of Greyscale. And I think that they saw that and realized that we would be like a functioning band that would be able to do things ourselves, then they would be able to sort of just uplift and boost us. The immense knowledge that they have from years in the scene, especially with things like the Amity run, those massive venues and the way that things operate and the strict details of certain things. There's just like, they just have a wealth of knowledge that without, we would have no doubt like pissed off certain people. We would have probably screwed a few things up. I think they've also just been very patient as well throughout like personal life issues that we've had, like health issues and stuff like that. They've always just been like so supportive, just wanting us to flourish. It's never felt like we are on a deadline and we have to get things done because we have like the label expecting things of us. It's almost just like an older brother that's sort of like leading you in the right way so you don't make the same mistakes. So yeah, having that has been game changing. Like I don't think it will ever sign off them as long as they are happy to have us forever, to be honest.
Do you still feel like you have all of your creative control?
Yeah, so they're very much artist first, I would say, is probably the best term. They don't try to dip their hands in anything other than things we ask for help for. So if we go to them and say, hey, we have these two things that we're unsure of, what do you think would work better? Like, they always have knowledge to put forward. They always say, like, hey, like, I know that you might want to do that idea, but that probably won't translate too well to, like, your fans who are going to be consuming this product. Yeah, it's nice to have them, especially as artists. I feel like because we're so passionate as well, we can have ideas that are a little bit too big. It might be a little bit too fantastical, and they can sort of just bring us down to earth and just make sure we're in line and make sure we're actually getting the product out there rather than just doing a million things at once.
Well, what does Heavensgate's writing process, production look like?
Writing process, so things have gotten a little bit different now. Originally, the first EP was just written completely by myself and Josh. So that was essentially just like Josh writing out instrumentals and stuff like that and testing things out. And now that things have moved on, Josh has sort of taken a step back more into just like a studio member role so that we can sort of bounce ideas off. But the main writers of instrumentals since Violent Joy and Rat King have been David, our guitarist, and Kofi, our drummer. Kofi and David are so insanely talented, especially Kofi. Like, he thinks of music in a different way, and he comes up with weird things to put in tracks that you're just like, how did you even think of putting that in? Like, you'll listen in the background and you can hear like a cafe of people having like warm conversation and stuff. And you're like, how did you think of putting that in a song? They're both really good, and it's they're very fun to work with.
You're a bassist and a drummer, as per online credits to previous bands. This sort of experience, does it change or, shape as a vocalist now, jumping onto tracks?
As I said, I'm very passionate about the music, so I've always been too involved, and I probably yap too much at the guys. I always like to be involved in the instrumentals, just so that we're making like a cohesive sound that we're all really confident in. We never want to do something where we're sort of just like releasing a song that some of the people in the band like, that other people are sort of just iffy on. So we really try and make things work. And I think the fact that we're all multi-instrumentalists, we can all have that understanding and make those changes that are sort of cohesive and actually make sense. As I'm sure like some guitar players will like write drums that are just like absolutely batshit insane that a drummer cannot play. So it's nice to have people that sort of things get grounded in reality. And I have a newfound respect for vocalists as well, because I always thought the vocalists just rocked up and put their mic on stage and then pissed off. But yeah, it's very hard, especially touring, not being able to speak to people after the show, because you just like run the risk of fucking your voice up, and it's very exhausting. And I have newfound respect for vocalists, and I'm glad I'm not setting up drum kits anymore. So that's my main takeaways.
There is definitely the perks. Is this your first project as a vocalist, and sort of what spurred you to make that switch?
So this is my first band as a vocalist. I've always sort of just like written lyrics growing up, because it was just like a creative outlet for me. But I'd only recently started trying to learn how to stream a year before the inception of the band, and it was because Josh, who I was friends with, had known that I was doing vocals and he was putting this project together. He was like, do you want to be the vocalist? And I was like, yeah, shit, okay, well, yeah, I'll try. And then literally EP1, I was like blowing my voice out every day in the studio because I had no technical understanding. I'm definitely learning every day as I go.
Back to that whole like dive right in kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're such a new vocalist, what's your go-to karaoke song?
Go-to karaoke song? Damn. I actually don't go to karaoke. I've been trying to get the band to go for so long, but they're always like, to be fair, I usually recommend it when it's like 3 a.m. and they're like, no, we want to go home. We're not going to fuck karaoke. But it would be Take On Me, and I would be the biggest punch ever. I would just be belting it, but terribly.
If someone's already done it, do you step up, or are you backing down and changing?
I would step up. I'm not sure if I would show them up though. Probably a pretty shitty job, but I'd still have fun, so it's fine.
Okay, that's fair enough. Oh, when are we looking at more? When's, is there, what's in the works? What's happening?
So we're hoping, oh damn, is this going to be public? I'm going to assume like it's going to be public and just say that we're going to have music out next year, but if it's not public, we are going to have a track out in February, just before we leave for the North American tour, and then so very exciting, very exciting.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I really do appreciate your time.
No, it's all good.
Mock. I thought about changing my background to the Triple J studio, but I think
that's better. That's better.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it's a bit more personal than like a Triple J background.
Like, radio station or the best media or after hit.
Amazing. All right, well, I'll talk to you soon. Have a lovely night.
You too. Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.